Let's get started, shall we? My name is Vivian Vargas. I am currently a program coordinator here at the University Center for Innovation and Commercialization. I have been here since November of 2021, so it's going on 3 years, and it's been really fascinating because most of my professional career has been in the nonprofit realm. And so I have over 25 years experience in public speaking and doing it in different capacities. And then throughout today's talk, we're going to understand the differences of public speaking, because you can do it in this manner, right? Where Dr. Robles and I we go into a presentation style with students or faculty, but you can also have or engage in public speaking in various different formats. It can be one-on-one with somebody. It can be in a small group setting. It can be in different various settings, you know, like for example, your leadership with CEO. You have found yourself to be a public speaker, David, engaging your members. And so different settings offer opportunities for public speaking. And so this is where we're going to get a little bit more information. So a little background about me. I am the eldest of 5 children. I grew up in the Valley. I'm a native of the Rio Grande Valley. My high school alma mater is Donna High School, class of 93, so I'm showing my age. And I went to school ready to like conquer the world, just like you, David, just like you, Skylar, you, Vanessa. And the world becomes really quickly a reality of sorts, right? So because I was the eldest, I had the extra responsibility, as a lot of Hispanic cultures do, with more responsibility for providing, right? Providing for the family, providing for our household. And so I had to work. I had to go to school and work at the same time. So I've been working. I feel like I've been working since I was 11 years old, when I started babysitting for money, my nieces and nephews and friends of the family and stuff and so on. But it really never deterred my path to really want to be able to get my bachelor's degree. My father made it all the way to sophomore year at Pan American, back before it became UTRGV. He got drafted 3 times during the 60s and 70s. And at the time, you know, young men were getting drafted. And so every time that would happen, it would like stall his studies, because he'd have to go to Houston or San Antonio to check in. And he always regretted never finishing school. So I felt like it's my mission to finish school. I need to get that done. So I had every inclination to finish back in 2005, but guess what? Life threw a monkey wrench at me, and things got really busy and really real. And so now I had all this financial responsibilities and, you know, debt, as we all accumulate. And so I had to work. And so I put school in the back burner. Well, I just needed 1 class to finish. I'll go back and get that done. Well, 15 years later, all of a sudden, my degree plan changes. And I was originally a public affairs, public relations, advertising major out of the College of Liberal Arts. Well, thankfully, when I wanted to go back to school before the pandemic hit, I decided to contact the advisors and re-enroll. So as a returning student, I was able to salvage some of the credits that I had already accumulated, and I altered my degree to multidisciplinary studies, which meant that I now had 3 concentrations of minors. I have a minor in communication studies, leadership studies, and mass communication. So for me, public speaking and communicating it comes very natural. I then, so that I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2020. Then I went and got my master's degree in public affairs just this December. And I went on the accelerated path, and I really, really encourage you guys to pursue that, because once you're in the swing of things, by swing of things, I mean school, right? You're in the process, you know how to, you know how to handle the heavy workloads, the managing your work life with school life, homework, all the responsibilities that come with that. Once you're in that groove, it's good to carry it forward. So my encouragement and my tip to you is to go full force, go full in and get your graduate degree. So that brings us to today, right? So let's talk a little bit about, oh, well, let's see, let's turn it on, turn it off. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So we're going to talk about.
Also, it might be a thing of like the Zoom being on top of the presentation. I know we've seen that before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
oh, look, there it is. Okay. I just needed to reconnect it. Thank you so much, Kanea. So today we're going to talk a little bit about credibility in your public speaking, right? So how do we add credibility? Well, with storytelling. I told you my personal story about how I came to be, you know, where my path, my journey, my personal journey has led me. We're going to also cover how to engage the audience through connectivity and all the different things that go on with that. And then building confidence within your skill set in delivering successful speaking engagements with folks. And then at the end, we'll also have time for some questions and answer. Throughout the presentation, I want you guys to ask questions. Like, this is not a rigid, it's not like me presenting to you, like this is your time. This is your time to learn. So anytime throughout this presentation, please stop me and ask a question, and I'm happy to address it, okay? So what is effective communication? Well, it's being able to communicate to create an impact on your audience, whatever that impact may be. Whether you're a salesperson selling, you know, tables to a potential client, or you're a student talking to your members, inspiring them to get motivated and to participate in the different activities that you have planned for them that semester, right? So you want to establish a connection with your audience where you can have an opportunity that you can share experiences with them, where you're going to be able to emote your values, right? And your emotions through your speech, through listening and engaging with your audience. So that's what we're going to talk about. But let's find out about you right now. What words come to mind when you are thinking about making a public speech? Like, what are some of the words that come to mind in terms of your feelings about public speaking?
I would say inspired comes to mind.
Inspired, okay.
It depends on the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to a small crowd, that's fine, but when I'm talking to a big, like larger audience, and it's going well, but then I just make an eye contact, like my nervousness, like just
it kicks up.
Yeah, because all because of a single eye contact that I did.
Okay.
That's really.
Okay. So we have different, like various realms of the spectrum, right? Where we get nervous, you know, where we have to, you already know you have to identify that skill set, that making eye contact, you need to improve upon that. And that's only going to happen with practice. And then there is the other spectrum where we feel inspired. So that to me, Skylar, means that you have a knack for this. And this is probably going to be very much in your future, where you're going to want to pursue public speaking, because it's going to be a part of the way you provide your professional career. And you too, David. But it's just a matter of developing these skill sets so we can become the best public speakers as possible. right? Okay, let's take you back. This guy is Aristotle, and he's a Greek philosopher, and you've probably read about him in philosophy courses, English courses, history courses. And he wrote a book called On Rhetoric in the 4th century BCE, where he talks about persuasive arguments. And there's 3 different elements in becoming, or 3 pillars in public speaking. That's your ethos, your pathos, and your logos. Your ethos is the part of you that is credible. How are you credible? Well, you're a credible character. What are your characteristics? What makes you genuine? What makes you authentic? Why should anybody pay attention to you? Why? What makes you the expert? Well, you share the story. I told you I had 25 years experience in public speaking. So I have some authority in which I can speak on this particular topic. Pathos is the emotional connection that is required to accomplish your persuasive speaking agenda. How am I going to emote an action out of you, Kanea, Skylar, and David? What's going to motivate you? What is it going to take, Dr. Robles, for me to motivate you to want to do something for me or for yourself? I'm telling you something new. I'm telling you a new strategy, and I want you to learn from it. Logos is the logical argument. It makes sense. What she's talking about makes sense to me. And so that is where we fall under the different structures based on Aristotle's original thought process. So let's dive a little deeper. There are 2 main items for establishing credibility in your public speaking mannerisms and your skill set. One is competence. How much do you know about the topic at hand? What is your knowledge and expertise on this topic? Why should we listen to you? The other one, again, is character. So very much in relation to what Aristotle had originally put into the ethos, pagos, and logos, characteristics. So let's go ahead and find out how we can get that going. The first thing you want to do is tell the audience who you are and why you're qualified to be up here talking to you, okay? So you're gonna share a story about yourself. You share your interests, okay? Right now, one thing that we all have in common is that we are all connected to UTRGV in a different format or function, right? As a student, as a staff, as a faculty member, we're all connected. So we all share in that culture, and that's a shared interest. You can grow a relationship out of any shared interest. There just has to be one speck. It doesn't have to be dozens of things. We can make a connection with somebody with one little thing. Maybe it was something that, as we spoke to them, we're speaking to somebody brand new. And has this ever happened to you? They tell you a story, right? They're telling you about themselves, but then all of a sudden they say something about your childhood, and it sparks an old memory where you're like, oh, I remember those candies. They don't make those anymore, you know, or I really enjoyed doing this as a child. Oh, really? I did that too, you know. One thing that that I used to do very, very often in my weekends with my family, our form of exercise was bike riding. We would do family style bike riding. So our little family would all get on their 10 speeds and bikes, and we'd literally go all around town, and we had our water bottles. My mom would pack us a picnic lunch. I mean, we were like the typical Brady Bunch. But back then, it was safer to do that. You know, the drivers, and Ms. Robles, you can attest to this, the drivers were not, you know, trying to get from point A to point B in 0 seconds. No, people took their time. They drove safely. They watched and respected pedestrians and people crossing on the crosswalks. All of that was totally normal and natural. But, you know, I remember bike riding so much. You know, I even have a bicycle that I'm trying to bring back to life and repair because I want to get back to bike riding. You know, so it literally can be something so small. It could be a class that you took. It could be a professor that motivated you, that you have a shared interest. And you can say, oh, I remember when Dr. Robles said this. Man, I learned so much. Oh, you had Dr. Robles too? Shared interest. Okay. So this is where you can establish credibility. You are both coming from the same sort of world, right? You also want to make sure that you are invested in the topic that you're talking about, right? Because if you come up here and you start saying, hi, I want to present today about a product that I think is going to be fantastic. And then you shuffle around, and then you look here, and then you look at your notes. No, already you made a disconnection. You already disconnected yourself from your audience. The audience needs to feel that you are the expert in the topic at hand. If you cannot produce expert level information with confidence, the confidence factor comes from your own research, your own background, your own personal investment in this topic. Those are the factors that come to the surface and make you the authority on what you're talking about. And so that's what telling the audience how you're qualified to deliver that message comes to be. Okay, this is an image of euthanasia. Let me tell you a story. When I first was introduced into public speaking, it was 10th grade high school. I got into UIL speech, and I thought it was so fun to learn about public affairs and do research on all different sorts of topics. I mean, as a group, our teacher would, we would meet for UIL. Our teacher would have us read journals, articles, New York Times, and it wasn't like today, guys. Okay, today you can take your laptop, you can highlight on a page, you can screenshot. No. It was all old school. It was literally flipping a magazine journal, thumbing through books, highlighting, putting little sticky notes, and or going, after you made all those notes, you took it to the library and you pressed it down on a glass, and you literally made a copy. And then you had to also understand, cite all the sources, like, okay, this came from a medical journal article, volume, yada, yada, yada. The topic that is highlighted here is on diabetes and diabetes prevention, because that's prevalent in our culture, yada, yada. So we had to, as students in high school, do all kinds of research. And it wasn't all just like medical stuff. It was world history, world topics, it was entertainment, it was pop culture. So, as you're reading, you also explore different things and you learn things, because when you're actually physically reading something, you retain it better, right? That's why, our teachers are hardcore and they tell us, you need to read your information. Everything is in there. If you take the time to read it, or at least one of the tricks that I developed as an adult student, I would make my computer read it for me. So I'm cleaning house, I'm feeding my dogs, tossing the ball to my puppies, and I'm orally hearing all that's being spoken to me. Even though it's coming like a little bit of a computer voice, you can alter the voice. I remember always putting like the voice of Australian because I like that accent. And it made me, it would pique my interest and it would make me listen harder. And so as the book was reading itself back to me chapter by chapter, 2-3 hours later, I read all my information. I felt like, okay, I didn't retain 100% of it, but I got about 65-70% of it. And I was able then to use some of the information that I heard and put it into my papers and so on and so forth. So going back to euthanasia, it was competition day. We had to go to La Feria High School. I remember La Feria High School. And the way it worked was we started off, everybody started at the same level. We go into the different classrooms. You have a panel of judges. They tell you your topic. You have then 30 minutes to go to your, we used to lug around a file cabinet, like those portable file cabinets with all the different topics in the order of what we found them in. So if it was pop culture, we had all the news articles, different things on, like, for example, Princess Diana, she's from my time, Michael Jackson, you know, people like that. And so we had those folks, we had Ronald Reagan for politics. I mean, we had all the different things all ready to go, right? So as I got my topic, euthanasia, I said, okay, perfect. I remember reading an article on Chinese culture. Let me go find that article. So I went into my little portable files. I found my article. I reread. I brushed up on some of the information. I put together my impromptu speech with an introduction, 3 main points for my meat and potatoes, right? The middle part, and a good conclusion to wrap everything up. And I did it. I presented this wonderful 5-minute presentation to a panel of judges in my UIL competition in 10th grade. And I saw the judges' faces. They all had like permanent smiles on their face. Like way back when it was, when the DC comic movies were coming out, the original Batman with the original Joker had the permanent little grin on his face. At first I felt, uh-oh, why is everybody smiling? And then I told myself, hey, I got this. They're all smiling because I did a great job. I know that I'm on topic. I know that I'm delivering a good presentation. I came in on the time, so I know I did good, right? So here comes the scoring, right? So your scoring will then tell you whether you're going to advance to the next level or not. And I didn't advance, and I didn't understand why. And one of the judges, she comes up to me later and she says, Vivian, your delivery was perfect. Your vocalization, your eye contact, presentation skills were really on target. But where we couldn't give you any points was on content. And I said, what do you mean you couldn't give me any points on content? Euthanasia. Right? And then she says, we were wanting information on euthanasia. The painless killing of a patient suffering from an incurable and painful disease or in an irreversible coma. This is illegal in most countries, and it comes from the Greek word eu, which means good, and thanatos, which means death. Euthanasia. Well, of course I didn't get any points. Of course I didn't get any points for content. And of course I didn't get to the next level. But this always reminds me that it's so important to get the information and the details right. What is it that your presenters are requesting of you? What is it that you're going to be talking about? Stay on target and make sure you don't miss the target. You know what I mean? So that was my story.
I have a question.
Yes.
Obviously, I also participated in the UIL.
Uh-huh.
But it wasn't more like an Excel.
Uh-huh.
But did they give you like a paper where it says like your topics? Or
No, in this particular UIL session, they verbalized it.
That makes sense.
They verbalized it, so I never saw the word spelled out. Or else I would have so totally have done more, because if your little mobile file cabinet didn't have the topic, they gave you 20 minutes to go look it up in their library. And then you had to run back with your copies and then formulate your presentation. So I will never forget that. Euthanasia. So in order to connect to your audience, you want to make sure that you can provide them something new. What are they missing? What is it? What is this new something that you're going to be talking about? And you want to challenge them. You want to challenge them to look at the world in a different way. This is especially true with venture presentations, like with your business ventures, because we're always talking about innovation, right, Dr. Robles? We're always talking about what is this something new? What is this new value proposition that you're going to be bringing to the table, right? So how is your industry, how is your company going to stand out? Well, Dr. Robles has been a large supporter of sustainability, right? So if you add a sustainable factor, you're definitely going to stand out from the rest, because that's a very forward-thinking approach that the federal government is looking at and looking into funding. And so that's a very strong path for success. So challenging your audiences to think about something new. And that also, when you think about that as well, you can also challenge yourself. Like, is my business venture challenging the status quo? What is this new item, new strategy, new point of view that I'm bringing to the table that is going to make a difference in my community, in my state, in my culture, my world, right? And later on, we can think, how is this sustainable? And is this going to be scalable? Is this actually going to make money? So that's when we're putting on our entrepreneur hat, right? But when we're just putting on a speaker hat, you always want to make sure that you can bring something new to the table. Put something new, something fun. And it doesn't even have to be something that you're creating. It could be just information that you're sharing. It could be just something that you read about that you found super interesting and you want to share it. And then now your conversation becomes even more broadened and even more developed, because we're able to now share on more broader strokes, on deeper levels, not just like the niceties. Now we're getting a little bit deeper. Now we're engaging a little bit more. Now our conversations are more intellectual. And so now I feel like next time I see you, I'm going to come back with something new. You told me something fascinating about XYZ. Now my turn. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read up on AI and how it's going to affect healthcare, and I'm going to give you that little tidbit. It could be anything, really. It could be about pets, what's new in the pet world. We all love our pets. So the other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you use the word you when you're making a presentation. Because even though you're my audience today, I want you to take away the information that I'm sharing with you. I want you to feel that the time spent today was well worth it, and that you can develop some of these basic skills so you can be an effective speaker. Citing your sources and telling stories. So just like the story of my euthanasia fiasco, let's call it a fiasco. You want to do your research and you want to cite sources, credible sources, and weave those into your presentation, because if work has already been done on a topic that you're talking about and it's well documented and well published, that's adding credibility to what you're bringing to the table. So you want to make sure, you also want to make sure you give people proper credit for what has been already researched or discovered. So making sure that you add, reputable sources to your topics. and back up your speech, right? So reinforce it with what you're saying. You can just simply cite a statistic, and you can back it up by making sure it's, you know, included in your presentation as it is here in the footnotes, and you can also find it in the reference section in the back of the presentation. And then when you tell your story, you want to make sure that it can connect to the topic at hand. So 70%. Telling a story when you're publicly speaking has proven to increase retention by 70%. That's a big number. And that's just a simple thing as telling a story. So maybe today when you walk away, you'll remember me. And when I told the story about my 10th grade experience, when I flopped that presentation.
Ms. Vivian, I can relate to the previous slide.
Yeah.
Yes, especially the semester that I participated at the NSF course. Day one, obviously, we get there, just getting everybody like familiarized, and then obviously day two is when it's go time.
Yeah.
And by day three, when we had to present, my new discoveries, like obviously, it was kind of interesting because I thought my mentality when I went to NSF, it was just going to be business to consumers.
Yes.
Sure enough, I told them the story like, hey, like I went to, these are my customers. I found out that it's recreation anglers and competitive anglers and professional anglers. A little context. Oh, I'm starting a business in the fishing industry.
Yes, fishing industry, yes. Let me turn the camera to Dr. Robles can see you.
So basically I started, and my first stop was the academy. Because obviously, I thought, oh, I'll find some fishing anglers since we're near Houston, Galveston is there. Obviously, we were like 2 hours away. But I thought, hey, it's a good city, and there's like 3 academies nearby where we were. So I was there waiting, and then I didn't see nobody in the fishing section. So I went to the hunting fishing because I knew those guys always fish.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I was right. So I went there, and yeah, the guy answered my questionnaires on, and always get asked. Well, they told us always ask for a referral. You know, somebody who would like to participate. And sure enough, he recommended me this guy. John, he was in the front of the academy. He did tell me he's an old man. Like, you're not gonna miss him. I go to John and I'm like, hi John, my name is David. Like, I wanted to see you would like to participate in an interview. I introduced myself to John 3 times. I realized John has Alzheimer's at that point.
Oh,
yeah.
So I'm like, and John was honestly like, I was telling the group, like, I had my handshake, and the 3 times, like, he didn't let go. And every time he was just squeezing my hand more and more. I'm like, I went for a soft approach because I didn't want it to be disrespectful or tight end. But he gave me, like, it wasn't even firm. Like, it was more like, yeah. And I'm like, damn, John, like, like, leave my hand. Like,
So what did you end up doing?
So after that, I'm speaking to John. He's like, yeah, I went to see if I could find any other employees. And I found one, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing a research for the university. He's like, no, sorry, I can't. Like, if you interview someone like other employees, like, we're gonna have to report you because we're violating like our academy policies. You have to go to corporate. I'm like, well, I'm not asking about academy. I'm asking like your personal. And I'm like, you know what, that's okay. Like, thank you for your time. Like, my apologies for any inconvenience. So I was outside in the sun, waiting for my Uber. I'm like, damn. And it was 3 p.m. The sun was hot. Like, it was brutal. I'm like, no, there has to be someone. I'm like, God, like, please, like, help me find one person at least, because we had to do 10 people.
Yes.
So I go back inside. I'm in line waiting to buy a water bottle. So because my Uber was like 30 minutes, I had to pay the cheaper like wait time.
Yes.
So I was there, and then after I got my water, I'm like, John, is it okay if I go and like see? Sure enough, I see one guy, and I started talking to him. I did my interview, and he recommended me like his friends. Like, yeah, man, here's my friends. We exchanged in contact, and then my Uber was here, and I'm like, I don't want to leave this guy because he was actually providing me all this amazing details. And I'm like, oh man, like, hey, like, let's follow up, like, and sure enough, we did. I go to my Uber, I go to Bass Pro Shop, and amazing, like, they connected me with a lot of people, like, yeah, go to talk to Chris, like, Chris, go talk to Zach. Zach is like, he has a business, like, he works in a 3 million business in the saltwater.
Yes.
Like, at yachts, like, they're well established, and then I go to Zach, and he's like, man, I'm gonna be biased, just to let you know, like, I'm sponsored by this company. I'm not gonna tell you, but just know, sure enough, I started the questions. He's like, oh, Z-Man. And oh, because they're less. I'm like, and it said, what brands are you loyal? I'm like, Z-Man. It's like, yeah. And and then he started telling me, I'm like, okay, great. So we ended, and then I put the phone down. Obviously, I'm like, start recording. I'm like, nah, I won't record it. And then I'm like, hey, Zach, by any chance, have you tried this brand from? He's like, yeah, man, I like them. I'm like, okay, loyal, like.
Yeah.
And then I started asking him, oh, what about this scent, like from this brand? He's like, man, I like them. Like, honestly, like, have great versatility, great action. So he started telling me all these amazing things. I'm like, okay, I'm not writing it down. I'm just trying to like memorize, you know. And obviously, when you're enthusiastic about a business, especially your business, you're gonna remember every single details because those are the like key points to your business.
They're golden little nuggets.
And sure enough, after that, like I go back to the hotel and I start my presentation. The next day, I presented, and Alex was like, "Man, that's amazing." But they're like, "Now we want you to do business to business." My whole story changed. Like my interview questions, and then I was there like in the lobby at 2 p.m. I was just there like freaking out because I'm like, I came here just to do business to consumer.
Yeah.
Now, business to business is a whole game changer. Like I wasn't expecting that. They're like, no, you should find some business, some manufacturers. And there was only one manufacturer, just by luck. And this is the one where they actually cut their attention on day 4, the last day of our presentation, because this company was called Tatex Products. There was only one. Well, there was one, two, but the other one looks sketchy, super sketchy. You guys could ask Jennifer. Like I showed her, and she's like, "I'm not going there." And I'm like, I second her because it looked abandoned. Like if I could guys show you right now, like it looks super sketchy. But the other one, it was a little more established. So we went to that one, and we got there. It was an old lady walking, and she looked like she got her food because they left on the floor, like Uber. And Jennifer was on the door, and I'm like, she's like, you ready? I'm like, give me a few seconds, like, give me get in the game. So I'm like, all right, I'm ready. So I go to the door. The lady opens the door. I'm like, oh, she's gonna let us in, right? Like, hospitality. She's like, hi, how can I help? I'm like, hi, we're doing a research. And she's like, no, no, no. And she closed it. She's about to close it. I'm like, no, like, wait, like, I'm starting a business in a saltwater. So I broke the code from the NSF, which is never tell them you're starting a business or you're selling.
Okay.
It's always we're conducting research. Because at the end of the day, that's what customer discovery is. We're not selling, we're just trying to collect information.
Yeah.
I broke the code, and she's like, come on in, come on in. And she went further, and we were like at the little pasillito. And I'm like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. Like, I know you work with Dr. Abrams, like, and the CIC, like, I'm sorry, like, I had to. And she's like, no, it's okay. And she welcomes them in, and first thing I see was some casting nets, some 90 nets. I'm like, hey, like, I have one of those. And then she's like, yeah, like, I bought it in Academy. She's like, we used to be the distributors for Academy. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. And then she goes to her project manager. She's like, hey, can you give them a tour of the warehouse from the back end, what we have? Sure enough, their inventory was showing me. It was amazing. Like, they had a lot of things. But now what I was looking, which is the lure manufacturing and dogs. He's like, yeah, man, like, unfortunately, she doesn't want to go. That's after giving us the tour inside.
Wow.
We were there for 2 hours.
Wow.
1 hour with the project manager and 1 hour with the owner. The owner was literally trying to push me, like, no, are you sure? Because this is going to be demanding. Like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm taking a risk. That's okay. And then she started asking me, like, oh, have you built a lure from scratch with your own hands? I'm like, yeah, I started with clay here, and I started showing them pictures, like back like 2020 when I started. And then, have you carved the lure? I'm like, yes, like, here's one. She's like, do you have a prototype? I'm like, yeah, good. Here it is. She was bringing me all these questions. I'm like, man, like, I'm ready. Like, I know what it's gonna take. It's gonna be time consuming. I'm aware. Like, I've been already in contact with some manufacturers in China, but the communication, like, they talk to me in English, which is awesome. But then they started talking to me in Chinese.
Right.
I'm like, I can't understand. Like, if you could change. And she has all the, how could you say, she's well established in China. Because their project manager told me, no, she's been in the game for 40 years in the fishing industry. She also used to be the supplier and distributor for Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, like Dick's Sporting Goods. So she was well established.
All the big guys.
Yes. The only thing now, she was caught out because she was a middleman.
Oh, I see.
So now, like, she's no longer in the game, but her project manager was telling me, if anybody could get a better price, it'll be her because she's already well established. They're friends over
People know her already.
Yeah. And he's like, honestly, man, like, she lives here. And if I come like 3 a.m., she's probably talking to them. She talks to them daily, but they're not on a date that they don't talk.
Wow.
So day
So
four.
did you keep that connection?
Yes. And then day 4, when I had to present, I caught their attention. I'm like, guys, like, I'll be admitted, like, you guys pushed me to a level where I did push. And I thank you guys because one, I was able to learn, well, meet Miss Annie that. No, it was Miss Annie. It was Annie something. I'll show you guys a picture because I know there's an entrepreneur here in the Valley. I need that. No, it was Annie from Tay-Tex Products. You guys can search it up. Don't think I'm not lying. And sure enough, I started telling them the story and how it related to my business with my customer discovery. And at the end of the day, because I found out I wasn't going to be able to come here at our final presentation, and I had to go to Corpus. And first thing, one of our mentors, Alex, he's like, man, like, you did amazing. It was very informative, and you provided an amazing storytelling. And at the end of the day, like, it did catch everybody's attention. Both times that I presented, it caught everybody's attention. Because I have a story to tell to back it up with all the information that I discovered. And then plus the information. And yeah, it was amazing.
That's awesome.
So that's how I was able to relate to that one. Because I know how to tell the story and relate it to what I need to provide, which is.
And that's storytelling that you developed strictly for your business venture, right? And we can also develop stories for like whatever aspect that you're going to be involved in as a student, as a staff member. I know Kenea, she's going to be going to grad school for theater, and your goal is to get into teaching, right? So I know that you have excellent communication skills, Kenea, but you can always learn how to relate to your students that you're going to be surrounded by in different ways. And you've developed a lot of our communication camaraderie here. And she's very good at that. She's very good at honing in on you as a person, your needs, your well-being, how you're feeling. So sometimes when people ask you, let me bring Dr. Robles back to my focus over here. Sometimes people ask you, how are you feeling? How are you today? And you sometimes give a blanket answer. Kanea's particular strength is she can ask you this question, but she's actually asking you, no, how are you really feeling? Like, everything okay with you? Like, you know, where you now feel like, okay, now I've got to take off this little veil and I'm going to have to share, not have to, but now I want to share, well, you know, I was feeling a little low. I was feeling a little low because, you know, this is happening. Oh, well, you know, maybe we can do something about it. Maybe we can have like a employee morale boosting lunch, you know, and we've done these. And so there's different levels of communication, but your storytelling ability, David, is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger the more you practice it. This is an example, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but when I was a marketing manager and then they made me an interim program director because they got rid of all of the upper management, they're like, oh, by the way, now you're interim program director. It's only going to be for 6 months. Okay. 6 months turned into 4 years.
Wow.
So I was with the Valley Symphony Orchestra for 8.5 years. And so I got to know my stuff. I went from knowing zero information about fine arts, classical music, to literally knowing stuff. So let's see what stuff I learned. Hold on. I think I have to do this here. And it takes me to the YouTube page. And we're just going to listen.
Down to Lazy Boy Furniture Galleries McAllen.
I apologize.
Focus LNs right now. Buy one item at 20% off. You get the second.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Select recliners. And as always, vive la vida, lazy boy.
They're trying to persuade us.
Good Sunday morning, folks, and thank you for joining us on Inside the Valley. I hope you all have a great weekend. Well, starting off this Sunday morning, we are joined by Vivian Vargas. She is the marketing manager for the Valley Symphony Orchestra. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So tell me a little bit about the Valley Symphony Orchestra, and of course, viewers right now who are tuning in and maybe they haven't been to a show, which they definitely need to because it's amazing. Of course.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the Valley Symphony Orchestra is going on its 67th year here in the Rio Grande Valley. We got started in Pan American College in Edinburgh, and we're so happy and excited to be offering a unique variety of concerts and entertainment value that you might not have otherwise considered. So it's perfect for the whole entire family. It's definitely a way to branch out and try something new. Currently, we have our music director and conductor, Peter Dabrowski, and we have David Means as our choral director. And along with that, we have about 85 orchestra musicians and about 130 chorale volunteers. And we perform 5 to 6 concerts a year. And this season, we're going to get started back up with an evening in Paris for our 2018-2019 concert season. And so we're so excited to talk about that.
Definitely. Now, every year, does it change as far as who's leading the orchestra, who's leading the chorale, or is it always the same?
It's always the same as long as our directors are committed to our organization. I don't see that changing anytime soon. And but for as far as the repertoire that music director Peter Dabrowski has put together, I think people will be really excited and happy about that.
So tell us a little bit about this past season, of course, a little bit
Yes.
a recap of
the season. So we did 6 full symphonic concerts, and we wrapped just April the 2nd with Carmina Burana. And that one was super special because we had the entire orchestra, our Valley Symphony Chorale participated. We invited chorales from Morris and Fossum Middle Schools from McAllen. We also invited Brownsville Pace chorale that participated, as well as the women's female vocalists from UTRGV. So together on stage, we must have been 300 plus people. Yeah, it was tremendous. It was outstanding. If you were there, I know you get me. We're on the same page. If you didn't get to come, there's lots of opportunities for you, and I'm really excited to share.
Definitely. So let's talk about this next upcoming season.
Yes, yeah. So we kick off the season with an evening in Paris with international pianist Christopher Ansinger. And this one.
And I'm going to go back to my presentation, but this is just so that way I can demonstrate to you the different aspects of public speaking and making sure that you are fully informed about your topic at hand, right? How are you going to share this information? What information is critical to relaying to your audience? And then your visuals, right? So I made sure to send forth lots of stills from the previous concerts, so that way the audience could see what I was talking about. I was talking about the chorale, the musicians, you know, the artists. And so that's just in every aspect that you're going to be doing. And even though I was in a studio in an interview setting, it's still a form of public speaking. We had cameras on us, then that would be my extended audience, right? Because it would be folks that would see it on Sunday mornings, because we would record Thursdays and then it would air Sunday mornings on KRGB. And this is something that's still in existence. So for you as students and faculty, if you have something to talk about, reach out to your news outlets, because they're always looking for new news stories. You know, they have a lot of community segments that they need to fill. And this is a good way to practice your public speaking skills. So we want to make sure that we also talk about the importance of body language and nonverbals. And we can use our body language in an open and friendly mannerisms, right? So when I mean by friendly is, for example, if I am open to you, I'm literally opening my arms to you and I'm saying, welcome, come in, you know, join me, this is fun, right? But if I'm up here doing this, so today we're going to talk about the joy of giving. How does my body language match what I just said? It doesn't. It doesn't. So be very aware of even your face. I've been told that I'm very animated in my face. Like my face can tell 1,000 words just with like little looks, a little smile, a little smirk. When I don't like something, I scowl. So I'll like bring my eyebrows forward. Right away, this is a dead giveaway. You don't like something, something is not to your taste. Something that I said must have offended you. See what I'm saying? Also, when you're interacting with your audience, you want to make sure that you never point. Never point. You don't want to point the blame to anybody. You want to be receptive. So these fingers come in and we do the political pointing, you know, where you've seen politicians do this. It's like, today we're going to talk about the economy and how we have strengthened the economy in this day and age. You know, you want to have, when you're making those points, you want to make sure that your hands are closed. Also, make sure that you have good posture. Don't slouch. Don't be up here like this, making your presentation, because I'm here today to talk to you about public speaking. It's important because we do it every day. That doesn't match the delivery. It doesn't match, you know, it doesn't. So making sure that you can have good posture, good stance. Men, you have no problem. You're always wearing flats. Women, we have to think about the shoes that we're using. If we're going to be talking for a long period of time, and I'm sure Dr. Robles can attest to this, making sure we wear comfortable shoes too, little pumps that are comfortable. If it's a very nice presentation, depending, you dress for your presentation, right? You dress for the initiative at hand. The audience, you always think about the audience first. Who are they? What are they expecting from me? What should I look like? What should I sound like? How should I be, right? Because that is what they're going to be expecting from me. And so the body language is very important. And we'll go into a little bit more, but people who, also another good thing is eye contact. People that make eye contact are more inclined to engage with you, because you're giving them your undivided attention. They like to know that you connect with them, that I'm connecting with you. And David, we're going to work on that with you. We're going to work on that. Yes, Skylar.
Good question. So about the eye contact, not that I have a problem with it, but what I catch myself doing is as soon as I make eye contact, like let's say with you, for most of the presentation, I'm going to keep eye contact with her instead of like going around.
Oh, varying it around?
Yeah. So how would you work on that?
I think it's just going to take, like, so if I make a connection with Kanea, right? And I'm talking about this, just simply now give it 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Oh, you realize you're still locked into Kanea. Let's go ahead and start shifting our focus. Now let's come over here. It's not that she's not that less important. It's just, I want to make sure that everybody connects to the information that I'm sharing. Give everybody a little bit of a 1, 2, 3 second little moments in your gaze, and you will see how that's going to change your confidence level, and you're going to see how you're going to be able to connect with your audience a lot better. For sure.
I would also say that potentially tying it into the rest of your physicality.
Yes.
where like if you're frozen in one spot, and it's gonna be natural to have that like
singular person.
But if you like the way that Viv just naturally like took a few steps that way,
just
use
walk a
that
little bit.
to then prompt you to also look at someone else. I feel like maybe if you tie that together, it would be easier to beat that.
Yeah, especially since like right now I'm also making sure that I can stay engaged with Dr. Robles. But if we didn't have anybody on Zoom, you would be my sole audience. Then I could then use more of the space, right? However, you don't want to be too walkie-walkie, if that makes any sense. You know, you wanna come here, you wanna establish yourself. You wanna use your head on a pivot. Use your head on a pivot ever so slightly. Don't be like this, like a robot. I have to talk to David. Now I'm talking to Skyler. Now I'm talking to David. Now I'm connect. Oh, okay. No. Have it be a natural motion. And then when you're making a point, you can also move around the room. Use the room to establish more of a connection. Okay. So those are the main takeaways from making sure that you can use nonverbals and body language to move around. With regards to your Q&A, it's always important to offer to take questions from your audience, because this is going to completely add more credibility to your presentation. Number one, you already know that they're listening because they're asking you questions. And number two, it helps you to elaborate on what you talked about. Maybe you're running through your presentation quickly, but at the end, we'll have more time for questions and answers. And we'll get into the nitty-gritty. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about more stories that I have from personal experiences, and maybe more research that I also encountered while developing this presentation.
There's something in the chat, I'm not sure.
Oh, is there something in the chat? Let's see. I can't hardly hear David. Okay. So David, we're gonna work on your vocalization. Okay, we're gonna work on your vocalization. Here is, remember I was telling you there's different forms of public speaking? We're gonna listen to Tom Brady, and we're gonna hear him talk about his dedication to diligence, his work ethic, and gaining respect from his team. And you're gonna listen to the way it's been edited together, but you can still see him on stage talking as he's being interviewed, and he's still delivering this with a lot of passion and authenticity.
No one's good at everything. I mean, that's just not the way life works. What you know is very limited, and what you don't know is limitless. Those who stay will be champions.
War number 12, the greatest of all time, right here in Tom Brady.
If I want to be the best, I gotta beat the best. Man, if I want to be good, I gotta wake up in the morning, I gotta do the extra work, and I gotta show up when other guys aren't, and I've gotta learn, I've gotta continue to be open to learning. But I had to take it to a new level that the other guys wouldn't. Nothing was given to me. So I'm gonna go out there and compete as hard as I can. And I'm gonna treat practice like a game. And I'm gonna gain the respect of my teammates every day through my work ethic. I'm gonna work hard in the weight room. I'm gonna work hard in the film room. I'm gonna work hard to be a good student. Whatever they ask me to do, that's what I'm gonna do to the best of my ability. I never once in my life ever said I wanted to be the best of all time. I'm just a story like everybody else. I wanted to be the best I could be, period. And I said, be proud of the man in the glass. Be proud of that man that wakes up every day and does the best you do with his priorities. So we're all talented at certain things, but we can really continue to improve our weaknesses if we're humble enough to identify them, and we can build on our strengths. Focus on what you can control. Focus on what you're getting, not what anyone else is getting. Whenever you get an opportunity, you take advantage of it. You treat it like it's the Super Bowl. You treat it like it's game day. Go out there and treat practice like no one else does. And you have an opportunity every day to surround yourself with people who help you grow. I don't say place the name on the front of our jersey was the Patriots and Bucks, or if I played for the name on the back of the jersey, which was my family, the people that encouraged me.
We'll stop here, but you can see the rest.
I was so blessed to have this
but
discipline
he talks
over
about
a really long period of time.
He talks about how this journey.
There's a lot of tough competition.
He started from nothing. Well, we can do one more minute and then I'll pause it, okay?
But I was never, I would say, like a prodigy. You know, I wasn't like the kid where you see Tiger Woods swinging on the Johnny Carson show at 2 or 3 years old, and you know his swing looks as good as it did at 3 years old as it did, you know, as he grew older. Or you know, certain players that had this unbelievable prodigy aspect to themselves. I saw myself as someone who probably had some other traits that maybe were hard to identify, but that were really sustainable over time, which was, I would say, work ethic and discipline. There was this discipline that I had that even as 13, 14, 15 years old, where all these other boys I went to an all-boy school in the Bay Area, and I remember showing up my first day as freshman year. I didn't have much, you know, hair under my arms or anything like that. I was like, and these other kids came in shaving. I'm like, what the hell is this? I didn't know how to put the pads on in my pants when I tried out for freshman football. I mean, I had never played until that point, except in the street. So these kids came out there, they had, you know, helmets and shoulder pads that they had worn for 4 years. I went on the field and I was like, I'm going to get killed out here. You know, and my freshman year, I didn't even play. I was the backup quarterback on a team that went 0-8. I couldn't get on the field, and we never won a game anyway. I mean, it's one thing to be the starting quarterback and to lose. If they don't even think you're good enough to be a starting quarterback on a team that's 0-8, you must really suck. So naturally, I was like, oh, cool, I'll continue to, you know, work on my skill. A lot of it was even going into my second year in high school, there were workouts in the morning at 6 a.m. before school. And I was like, okay, I can get up at 6 a.m. and I can go do these rope drills where you run through the ropes. You see a lot of people do that. There were these hills that we would run up. And there was probably less than 10 people there, but I was probably one of the 3 that were there almost every single day to try to continue to push myself to grow in these maybe physical areas that I was really behind a lot of the people that. And I went in there and I competed really hard my 3rd year, and I lost the starting job to Brian Greasy. So I go into my 4th year and I was like, now's my time. I worked hard to compete my first 3 years. Going into my 4th year, I got a great opportunity to play. And they recruited a kid named Drew Henson, and I was like, the competition is relentless. At first I was looking at the guys ahead of me. Now I got to be looking down at the guys behind me too. And going into my 4th year, my teammates named me team captain, and I won the starting job. We had a good year. We finished 10-3, you know, beat everyone out. And I showed up, and Coach Carr says, well, you're going to compete with Drew Henson and be the starter going into your 5th year. And I was like, you got to be kidding. You want me to compete? That's what we're going to do.
So I'm going to pause it here.
Really hard again in my 5th year.
But you can see the way Tom expressed his passion in his delivery, the way he, let me see, right here. The way he was recounting his experience from 0 experience with football. I didn't even know that until I saw this, because I was researching, you know, different types of public speakers. And of course we have the gamut, right? We can run the gamut of public speaking. You can have public speaking to persuade, to inform, to inspire, to motivate. So you have the different realms of public speaking that you can tap into. So it's not just, I'm gonna, you know, this, I need to get this. No, you can practice your public speaking in almost everything you do every single day. But the way he added his personal history, his emotion, his authenticity, it came across, right? You could tell that this guy wanted to be better. So what did he do? He leaned into his work ethic and his discipline. He leaned into it so hard that's what made him who he was. That's why Tom Brady was so successful. He's the most winningest quarterback in football history. And so you can tell I'm a football fan. So I can't wait for the Vaqueros football team to get going. But that is what he did to establish a genuine connection with his audience. He made sure that people understood where he came from. Your story is so important. It doesn't matter where you came from. That story makes you who you are. Never be afraid to talk about it. Never be embarrassed or shy. Tell people your humble beginnings. If they were humble, tell them. Because that makes you super special. That makes you like a superstar. Okay? That is what people want to know. They want to know who you are. They don't want you to put on a facade. Nobody is in a contest over here. You're not going to win first place because you told the best story because you were so impressive. No, they want to just hear who you are. And so this is where it takes an engagement and genuine connection to the next level. So remember when we talked about Aristotle, the ethos, the pathos, and the logos? We're going to now focus more to pathos, right? Which is the persuasive presentation in how you deliver your speeches. So do your words evoke feelings of love, of sympathy, of fear, motivation, like Tom's did? Do your visuals evoke feelings of compassion, envy? Or like, for example, in Tom's, we saw all of the players exercising and doing the different football drills. We saw the person running up the hill. You know, we saw them working out in the gym, because to be a great player, you have to do the work. To be a great student and professional, you have to do the work. You've got to do your research. You've got to put the long nights in, burn the midnight oil to make sure that what you're going to tell people is going to be exactly what they should know about the topic. Be passionate about what you deliver. It makes a difference. Effective communication techniques. We talked about it so many times. Eye contact, okay? Enthusiasm, a smile. When you deliver your presentations with a smile, your voice actually changes a little bit and it becomes a little bit lighter. And people can sense that you are a positive person delivering this information. Do I want somebody negative Nancy up here delivering this information with a monotone voice? And you know, if you share your personal experiences, you can become a better speaker. Like, you don't believe me. You almost want to shoot me, like right on target. Like you're like, give me a pretend video gun. I want to shoot her because she's not making any sense. She's not matching what I want to hear. I want to hear somebody energetic. I want to hear some expression in your voice. We want to make sure that we can connect with people. One of the ways, and it's very, very important, this is a very important aspect of public speaking, your proximity to your audience. When you have the ability to move in close, you want to use it strategically. You want to move in close when you want your audience to really hone in on what you're going to tell them. Because this part of my presentation is the meat and potatoes. This is what you paid. Let's pretend you paid. This is what you paid to come in and hear. This is the nugget that you're going to walk away with that you've been waiting this whole 30 minutes to hear. And I'm going to tell you about it right now. Okay? So did you see what I just did there? I made this example. I made also inflections in my voice. We're going to talk about that. We already know about telling engaging stories, but we are gonna shift the focus to the topic at hand. Sometimes we can, as presenters, get off track. Let me go back over here so Dr. Robles can see me. We can get off track, and it's happened. All of a sudden, a mental thought comes into your mind. Did I lock the back door to my house as you're presenting? That should not be entering your mind. You need to leave that behind there. Reshift your focus to concentrate on your audience at hand. Make sure that they know that you're there for them, okay? You can worry about locking the back door or did you lock the back door later? You can call somebody or go check it out later. Another thing is breathe. That's everybody right now. Let's take a deep breath. Let's sit up straight. Okay, everybody sit up straight. Or you know what, let's stand up. Everybody just stand up. Dr. Robles, go ahead and stand up. And from the bottom of your feet, okay, to the top of your shoulders, let's go ahead and round this out. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. Hold it. Let it out, okay? During a presentation, let's do another one. That felt good. Ready? We're gonna take a deep breath in. Hold it. And let it out, okay? Does everybody feel a little bit better? Did your brain get more oxygen? Does it feel good to stand up? Yeah, okay. So when you're doing a presentation, you have to obviously remember to breathe. Sometimes we get nervous and we will want to just like rush through our stuff all in one breath. Guess what, guys? That's number one, not a good thing to do. Number two, it's not effective. And number three, all you have to do is give it a little pause. In between your delivery, take a breath. Take a breath. Deliver. When you do that one simple thing, that makes that moment so important. Literally, it's like a defining moment in your presentation. You want to save those little like purposeful breaths that the audience can see you breathing, because you're going to get ready after this breath and deliver some really important information. And you really want them to hone in and connect to you about that. And so that breath right there is an indicator. It's just telling your audience, get ready. Some great information is coming your way, right? And then staying you focused. You notice that I've been using the word you a lot. I want you to use the word you in your presentations too, because we're not talking to the whole audience. I'm talking to you. I want you to have had a good experience today, Skylar and David. I want you to have walked away with some tips that you can actually put into practice, okay? This is important that you understand what I'm saying, Kanea. And Dr. Robles, I want you to also understand what I'm saying. So this is why the word you is okay in public speaking. It grabs them and it makes them feel super important. It makes you feel very important that I want you. I don't want everyone, yes, I want everyone to have a good experience, but if I concentrate on you and use the word you can attach it to yourself, okay? Let's see, what else? Pitch. Varying your pitch, your tone inflection, and volume control. You've heard me get quiet on some parts of my presentation, and you've also heard me get louder, right? So when you're presenting, I want you to feel, you can project your voice, David, so you can fill the room. I want your voice to carry to the back of the room. If your inflection in your voice is not carrying to the back of the room, you need to practice that a little bit more. And it's going to happen by you just standing up here and just simply saying, hi, my name is David Salinas. I'm here. Let's just say, I'm here to talk to you today about public speaking. Come up here. I want you to come up here. I want you to come up here, and then we're gonna have Skylar come up here, okay? So I want you I'm gonna actually go to the back of the room, and I want you to tell me your name, and the next sentence is, I'm here to present to you about public speaking. Okay, I'm gonna go to the back of the room, Dr. Robles.
So Dr. Robles. Ready?
Yes.
All right. Hello. I'll do it like if I was presenting. Hello guys, how you guys doing? My name is David Salinas. Today we're going to be going over public speaking 101. Like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Did you get the message?
I think I got it, yeah, but I want you to be a little more
enthusiastic,
direct and enthusiastic. Okay? I want you to use your stance, your eye contact, and the variety of vocal tones. So we cannot stay in one single tone. Use tone variances, okay? So I want you to pick one word that you're going to go higher or deeper on, or louder on. Which word do you want to focus on?
Welcome.
Welcome, okay. Welcome. So give me the word welcome. Just say welcome. Go ahead, David.
Welcome.
My name is.
Oh, you said one word.
No, I know, but let's go ahead and add welcome.
Okay. Welcome. My name is David Salinas. Today we will be starting the Public Speaking 101.
A little bit louder.
Okay. Welcome. My name is David Salinas, and today we will be going over Public Speaking 101.
That's better. Did you guys hear the difference there? Okay. All right. Let's try Skylar. Skylar, you get up there, you introduce yourself, and you tell us welcome, or however you want to do the welcome. Make sure you use varying tones, and I want you also to inflect your vocals on one or two words, and give me a couple of sentences, just like a little intro, just like David did.
Good afternoon. My name is Skylar Howell, and I am the Vice President for the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization at UTRGV, and today we'll be going over Public Speaking 101.
Good. I like that. Okay, very good. Let's see. What word did you think that you went a little bit louder on?
Good afternoon.
Okay, let's try it again. One more time.
Just go over the same.
Yeah, the same little speech.
I thought you did the one his name Skylar Howell.
Was a little louder?
Yeah.
Okay. Pick something, and that's how you guys are going to practice. This is how you're going to practice at home before you come out onto any stage. Okay?
Good afternoon. My name is Skylar Howell, and I am the Vice President for the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization at UTRGV. Today, we are going to be going over Public Speaking 101.
That sounds good. I like that. I think I like that second delivery better, right? Yeah. So see how just changing the emphasis on one or two words is going to do, and also making sure that you did really good on your eye contact. I saw you sort of working the room. That's great. And so did you, David. You also worked on your eye contact, which was really good. I thought that was good. So all of this, guys, is just gonna come to you more and more naturally the more you practice it. You literally have to practice every single presentation to yourself, like in the mirror. It works. I know that you do a lot of mirror work as a theater student, right? You do a lot because you have to know what your face looks like when you're emoting different lines. Yes, Skylar.
One thing I noticed I do get caught up on is like when I'm trying to memorize, I guess, the topic or the speech, when I try to memorize, what I do is I've caught myself doing this, like I'll look up and I'll either say like or and I need to work on removing those filler words.
Yes.
But also, how would I help memorize this speech? I've heard using talking points are good, like little talking points in your head, instead of trying to like memorize entire sentences. Like that's what I catch myself trying to do. Yeah,
you never want to memorize the entire sentence. That you need to start leaving that behind. You need to start focusing on just three things. This simple slide right now is talking about three major components in your vocal delivery. pitch variation, how I can get quiet. When I want to talk to you about a certain thing, I can get very quiet and I can become very serious. And I'll insert more pauses into my speech. When I want to get enthusiastic about a certain aspect, I'm going to tell you with a louder voice, a higher tone, because I'm so excited to share with you today some of the new techniques that you're going to learn for public speaking. And this is some of the things that have been going on forever, guys. Making eye contact, vocalizing, using different pitch inflections in your voice, okay? And making sure that you can vary your pitch. Nobody wants to hear anybody stay monotone. You know, we don't want to sound like a computer. We want to sound like us. We want to sound like, you know, interesting people. The more tone differences that you insert into your delivery, the more interesting you become to your audience.
See something in the chat, and also just wanted to do a time check, but it's 12:30.
Oh, we are beyond. Yeah, we're way beyond. Okay, so I wanted to show you First Lady presentation, but we can move on. But or maybe let's just do 1 minute of hers.
Top, but you made it, and but you're all here because a panel of distinguished judges agreed that your recipes were the very best. And I want to thank all the judges. Sam was one of those judges. A lot of eating. 15, did you taste all 1,500 recipes? 110 dishes. Thank you, Sam. Well done. But yours were the most nutritious and the most delicious, all right? So healthy and good too, right? And you guys took very different paths to get here. Some of you started cooking as a way to bond with your families. And that was true for Janetta when, hey Janetta, how are you?
Right there,
California.
right there. She says, some of you took many different varieties to feed your families. And that was true for Janetta. And then she pointed to Janetta, hey Janetta, you see how her voice changed there? It turned more conversational, more casual. Hey Janetta, how are you? Acknowledging Janetta in the audience. Those little things that you guys need to work on so you can improve the quality of your speaking ability. Okay, and we're not going to go into very.
I also heard at the beginning when she's like, "Yeah, yours is the better."
Yes. Yes. Okay, and then let's continue so we can wrap this up. Okay. Visual aids, we talked about visual aids being relevant to your message, making sure that the visual aid that you're using is relevant to the information that you're sharing. What point are you trying to convey? Is your visual aid clear? Is it understandable? Is it visible to the entire audience? If you're going to put a graph, whatever type of graph, make sure that it actually the information can be conveyed all the way to the back. Don't copy paste an Excel file and put it on your screen, because that's just going to be just a grid with tiny little numbers that we're not going to see anything about. But if you put 1 or 2 numbers that you want us to focus in on, bold them. I didn't make visual slides about that because it would be longer. If you bold them and then you just maybe just say 1 or 2 things about it, that's all you need. The rest is going to be from your practicing at home on what that statistic is trying to say. That's going to come from you practicing, okay? Effective body language, and I'm gonna have another talk that's gonna dive way deeper into body language and nonverbals on April 4th, and I'll show you here in a little bit. But in terms of, again, meaningful eye contact, open and friendly body language. This is me, almost like a pretend hug. This is an air hug, right? I'm giving you an air hug. I'm telling you, welcome. I have information to share. Come and get it from me. You don't want your hand gestures to be overemphasized, right? Throughout the presentation, if you want to use your hands to stress certain points, so remember there are certain times where I said where we can connect, literally connect your hands. That matches, that hand gesture matches what you're saying. It makes that part of your conversation a little more, I say a little more, see a little is this, little. So little changes in your delivery can make a huge impact. Look what I just did right there, huge impact. But you don't want to be jazz hands. Like you don't want to be like, oh, hey, look at me. You want to keep your hands here, right? You want to keep them where you're between the bottom of your neck and your belly. This is where your hand gestures live, in this area right here.
I have to go help Vanessa.
Go ahead. You also want to maintain good posture, smile, and have fun. Have fun during your presentations, okay? Wrapping up, we know that being an effective communicator is someone that can impact and make an impactful connection with their audience, right? By making sure that you can talk about shared experiences, you share your values and your emotions while you're listening. The key takeaways is practice, and then practice some more. Engage with your audience by telling compelling stories. Start going through your own personal history on why you, David, got started with that business venture. What inspired you to get started with that? Skylar, what is it that's going to propel and solidify your story, your personal story? What makes a personal story in your lives the difference in making sure that you can come across as an authentic person, that you're going to be somebody relatable to your audience? Humor, euthanasia, appropriate humor. Use humor whenever possible. That breaks the ice, that makes you more likable, and people really enjoy laughing. It's contagious. Stay you focused. Oh, sorry, you focused. Make sure that you can use the word you in your presentations to connect with your audience more. Use the nonverbals through eye contact, good posture. Stay focused on the topics. Stay energized. Make sure you don't lose your energy level, because then your audience will feel it. Make sure that you can bring something new and exciting to the table, a new strategy, a new way of doing something, a new way to learn this or that, and that's going to make your topic more exciting. Repeat what you're saying. Tell them again, and then repeat it again. It's the power of 3, okay? You want to make sure that they hear it over and over and over, because that's the main points that you're trying to drill in, okay? And then, of course, the last thing here, let's see it. Yeah, seek feedback. Practice in front of people, have them critique your public speaking ability, and make sure that you start to correct some of the things that you're doing wrong. And then also, it's good to hear what you're doing right, like just in that little exercise that we did right there. Okay, let's see here. All right, this is the last video, I promise.
Thank you for having me. I'm here to speak to you about the importance and benefits of reading. I personally read every day and absolutely love the adventure of reading. I will stand before you and speak with confidence and not be afraid. Reading every day has made me smarter. Reading has also strengthened my vocabulary and language skills, allowing me to pronounce new and big words without even thinking about it. Reading has incredibly enriched my long-term memory.
Ta-da!
Who's a better speaker than me?
There's a child that not only knew how to do public speaking, is a very young child. He must be no older than 8 or 9 years old. But even as the words were being recanted on his little speech, the words that were in large bold, those are the words that he inflected and changed his tone and pitch on. He doesn't even know he's doing that, but he's already doing that perfectly. Do you see what I'm saying? So literally, it could be something so small and short that you can practice at home, guys, and that you can literally turn every presentation into a dynamic speaking opportunity, okay? And everyone can be an excellent speaker. If he can do it, we can do it. Questions. I think we've been answering questions throughout the whole thing. How can I help you become a better public speaker?
When is April? What time is it?
April 4 is 12:30 to 1:30. It'll be Zoom and in person. It's a lunch and learn sesh, and it's free to students. Free to students. So take advantage of it.
And that's about tone, right?
That's going to be about the nonverbals, mastering the art of nonverbals. And so let's get into that. So these are the references. And then thank you so much for today's opportunity to present to you. I'm going to share this with y'all's group, David and Skylar and Dr. Robles, and you guys can talk a little bit about that. There is a registration code there for our next event, or for Startup Tree, I'm sorry. But the next event we have coming up is Speak to Connect, Building Meaningful Audience Relationships with David Norick. Yeah. It is on social media, but if he wants, yeah. And then the next one is the one that I will be doing on nonverbal communication. Yeah. So this is my little QR code for my little feedback survey. It would be great if you could scan it just so I can see how I did and how I can improve my services to you.